welcome back to Notier's Frontiers Diaries. In this episode, we are going to conquer our nemesis,
dun, dun, dun.
which is Shafer's Pass, or I think it's just called Shafer Pass. We started off in Moab, Utah, which is one of our favorite places. We'd been there before, 7 years ago.
This is true.
This is something that we call our maiden voyage. It's when we first bought the motorcycle, our wonderful KTM 1190.
The motorcycle was gray, but we were green.
Yes, that's true. We really didn't know what we were doing at the time. We'd never really been off-road. We'd never been out west before with a motorcycle. We'd never been off of a paved road, certainly. Sand before.
Yeah. I don't, they convinced us to do this, and now she won't do it with me.
Yeah. On a street bike, I'd be a little concerned too.
Indeed.
Honestly, I think if you just started turning this way, and nice and easy, and lean it in, and I'll hold you.
Gotcha. Try to push by.
Okay, I'll hold your brakes.
Can't do it.
She won't let me.
I freaked out.
You got your brakes?
Yep. She won't let me do it.
I freaked out.
Okay, it's all good. Yeah.
When I get some dual sport tires, man,
It's all
maybe next
good.
year. Zach?
Hey, it's a pleasure meeting you.
100%.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks for stopping, brother. Well, Utah is, just kind of an intense versus anything we could find in Chicago.
That's right. We're from Chicago, so in Chicago, it's pretty flat, and we have a lot of really good roads. But in Utah, you can find both really nicely paved roads, and you can find the worst roads on the
Chicago's
planet.
not known for its good paved roads either. I mean, there's plenty of potholes to avoid.
We do have quite a few.
Yeah, you need suspension in those scenarios. But we woke up and it was a beautiful, beautiful day. We were so excited for what the possibilities that were to come that day. We were with our good friends
Emiliano and Melissa, so they were riding two up as well. And Emiliano had a lot of experience riding off-road. We met him in Africa, and we did all sorts of crazy roads out there with him. So, and then he's been living in Utah ever since. And has been hitting all sorts of trails, so he's quite familiar with going off-road.
Emiliano was dead set on doing White Rim Trail.
Yes. Now that's the trail after Shafer Pass. Shafer Pass kind of goes down.
Well, it depends on which way you go. But Shafer Pass kind of wives out, and you can either go to White Rim Trail to the right, or you can go to Potash Road to the left. I was just excited because either way we were going to be doing Shafer Pass.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've been wanting to do for the last 7 years. But yeah, Emiliano was dead set on doing White Rim, which I was excited for, but I just knew that there were sections where it was really, really difficult. And if I was just by myself, I'd be even more gung-ho, but we were camping again because everything was really, really expensive in Moab as far as hotels and such. So we had all of our gear that we had brought from Chicago as we're messing around the expos, and we're on tour, and so we have everything on the bike.
Everything that we would travel around the world with, we had.
And so I was less gung-ho. I wasn't necessarily looking for a reason to opt out, but I figured we'd go in as far as I felt comfortable, just like Marissa and I do in normal scenarios. And if it got too intense, we'd turn around and go back. Now, what I had heard is it could take up to like 4 hours, is what we heard, was the whispers on the wind.
Right.
And so if, we were 3 hours in and something really sucked, then we were kind of committed at that point. There's no turning back.
I was already just concerned about Shafer Pass.
Oh, I was so excited.
We tried doing it before and we weren't successful. We turned back.
She won't let me do it.
I freaked out.
Okay, it's all good.
Yeah.
So,
but combined, we had like 1,000 miles on the bike together.
It's true.
And we had
were very
street
rookies.
tires on, and we had just camped at Devil's Garden, and we were.
I was literally wearing shorts. And I think just like regular shoes, like no boots.
Yeah.
I don't even think we had helmets.
Don't do that. This was
really bad.
We were out for an afternoon stroll looking for somewhere to eat, which is no excuse because you should still wear your helmet. But I took a wrong turn and ended up on a cliff edge, and I was like, wow, But definitely,
pretty straight cliff down that pass.
It's one of those places where you look at it and you say, I should be wearing a helmet.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
so we had turned around that initial time. So we had Shafer Pass to look forward to, and then we had this White Wind
Twirl.
Now I can't say it.
I'll say it for you.
White Rim
Twirl.
Trail.
But and first we wanted to, because there's Arches is right there in Moab too.
Yeah, so these were all in Canyonlands, which is one of the national parks right next to Moab. But there's another national park which is actually like right next to the town of Moab.
It's within Moab.
Arches, yeah, exactly. And so we wanted to go really quickly through there and just kind of ride the beautiful road up into Arches.
And there's water there, which is really important.
Yes, we could fill up our water bottles. They have a water filling station there.
But so we took off to go to Arches, really exciting, because it's like a 45-minute to an hour drive, depending, just riding through Arches.
If you wanted to go all the way through. But we figured we don't have to go all the way through, just a little bit.
Go in and not go to the end. But, but then there's attractions every other, mile, every half mile at that. So, but we pulled into Arches because I really wanted to go. We went to go get water because that was needed, and I just had bought another national park pass.
Yeah, we need a national park pass, of course.
But when we pulled in, the lines were so.
It was so crowded.
It was just nuts.
It was insane. It took us a good half hour, I think, just to get into the park to fill up our water bottles, and we thought, oh goodness, this is going to take a long time if we want to add this onto our day. And our number one thing that we wanted to do that day was Shafer Pass, because that was the thing that had kind of beat us before.
We hadn't done that. We'd done Arches, and as magical as it was, and as much as I was drawn back to it, I had to beat the old nemesis that was Shafer's Pass. But as I was getting water and messing around on my bike, I saw a KTM 1190R roll up.
Yeah,
and then
we're just in the parking lot.
Yeah, 3 other little smaller bikes, And I said, so what have you guys been up to? And they said, oh man, we just did White Rim Trail, and man, did it beat the heck out of us.
Yeah, they were covered in dirt.
They were all solo riding on naked bikes, and they were there were sections where I had to help each other up, 10 times in a row, and it was really, really difficult. And
they
all
also
huffing
said
and puffing.
It took them about 7 to 8 hours.
Yeah. And so I just looked at Marissa and I was just like, I'm not.
No.
I'm all about riding off-road into rugged landscapes and having fun, and if we had enough gas and ran out and we're planning on camping or whatever. And in Africa, there's plenty of, South America, there's plenty of roads we've gone down out of the necessity of having to go down them, or slightly enjoying them. But, like, I just didn't want to beat the hell out of myself all day.
Yes, and Emiliano and Melissa had to go to work the next day.
Yeah.
And so they were going to be really booking it all the way back up to Salt Lake City. And we just didn't have the time for all of the incredible things that there were to do in Moab. We had to make some tough choices.
It wasn't a tough choice for me. Like I said before, I wasn't hunting down a reason to just do potash, because potash sounded amazing too, which we hadn't done because we had never made it down Shafer Pass. Mm-hmm. But I was just like, let's do Shafer Pass. That's checked off of my successful to-do list. And I don't want that to be followed up by a failure of a hell day. Yes. And so when Emiliano rolled up, I told him pretty much the cliff notes of what the other group of riders said. And I just pretty much said, like, you are more than welcome to do whatever you personally want to do, but we're going to opt out.
Also, we had someplace to be, and our bike had been messing up for the past couple of weeks.
Months.
It had been having all sorts of problems, and we needed to be in Flagstaff, Arizona for the next Overland Expo in just a few days. And so we didn't want to just have some traumatic event happen to the motorcycle while we were going off-road.
So not begrudgingly, we all agreed that let's do potash. Or Marissa says potash.
I say it wrong.
She's fancy. So I was hyped, and again, Shafer Pass, like, I just wanted to get to that cliffside edge where I remember the first time that we got to and taking a picture, and that still image has been stuck in my head ever since. And so finally, we started making our way to Canyonlands. Yeah,
Canyonlands is beautiful, and might I say, it has the perfect name.
Yes. It's a land of canyons.
It is a land of canyons, absolutely. And so when you ride up into it, you're kind of up high, and you're on top of the plateaus of the canyons. And there was greenery all around, so I think we hit a different season from the last time.
Yeah.
It was really, really beautiful. And on our way over to Shafer Pass, we decided to stop at something called Mesa Arch. So I guess Arches isn't the only park with arches. Mesa Arch is one of the most famous arches in Utah. That's pretty awesome. I feel like I've seen a lot of Instagram pictures taken. It's not the one that's on the license plate. That one is an Arches.
No,
that's Delicate Arch. Mm-hmm. But this one, you see a lot of pictures on the internet of it because the sun will set, and it kind of sets right through the arch and has this beautiful scenery, and it's just stunning. Now, we had missed sunrise and we're going to miss sunset, but we were still able to see the arch, which was beautiful. Just all those mesas and canyons down below with all the colors. It's red and gold and oranges, and then you have that bright blue sky. It was really, really stunning up there. It's not a very hard or long hike from the main road of Canyonlands, so it was very doable. Just really
unlike
quick.
Arches, like to get to Delicate Arch, we went on like a journey. We didn't know where we were going, and we filed these little piles of stones and just hope you're going the right way. We ended up not going the right way 7 years ago,
but this one was really, really easy, and we did have a great time just seeing it very quickly. And then we headed back off to Shafer Pass. we did Shafer Pass. So it starts off high. You can either go up or down it. But if you're starting off on the main road in Canyonlands, then you're going to be going down it. So you start off at the top of it. And it's kind of like this.
Oh no!
Oh no!
¿Por qué?
Oh, this keeps happening to us.
So we turn off of one of the roads of Canyonland right next to the visitor center. And this is what we prematurely didn't know 7 years ago, but it leads to like being on the cliff's edge, which is amazing. And it's a nice off-road. It's it's not two sanding sections, it's still rocky. And by God, it's just absolutely amazing. You can see all the way out until the end of time. And as you're following this cliff's edge, like it goes in these huge bowl-like formations, and you're just...
Yeah, it is like a bowl. It's very curved, and you're just sweeping the edge of it in these switchbacks.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I remembered being terrified 7 years ago.
Well, again,
and I
we
thought,
were green.
Yeah, you know, we didn't know what we were doing at that time. We were very unprepared for such a trail as this.
Yeah.
But since then, we've done so much off-road riding. We've done so many incredible mountain passes that I just thought I was going to get there and I was going to look at it and be like, ha, I can't believe this used to scare me. But the fact of the matter was that this trail is impressive regardless of what level you're at. It's just so steep, and that cliff edge is so much of a drop-off.
Yeah.
And
there's no like guardrails.
It's amazing. No matter who you are, it's going to be jaw-dropping, I think. And I definitely got butterflies in my stomach again, and I was like, oh my goodness, it's really steep.
I was just really excited to be back in somewhere that, you know, I had such an emotional attachment to from years and years and years ago. Absolutely beautiful. You know, and like Marisa was saying, we've done a lot of things that maybe we'd get to it and be like, oh my God, I can't believe we were so terrified of this.
Yeah.
And like the sweeping little bowl following the canyon's edge thing was really beautiful, but then you get to the switchbacks where then you go to the bottom of the pass.
It doesn't take that long to do. It's only like 5 or 6 switchbacks. It might have been more
and it
than
took
that.
us a long time because at every corner we'd stop to take pictures because it was amazing. That's the cool thing of being around with a buddy is that you can trade cameras and such too.
But in my mind, I had envisioned this pass, or I'm not sure it's even a pass. It just goes down the mountainside. I had envisioned this road to take hours upon hours, but before I knew it, we had really conquered it. I felt, wow, we're almost to the bottom already. It is so steep, so you do drop in elevation quite quickly.
But like, you know, even some of the BDRs in Colorado, like Corkscrew Pass, You know, I mean, that had a lot of loose gravel, and so did this, and there was sand in some corners. But in my mind, from years past, of you know how you elaborate memories from long ago. You know, like this was, you know, Satan's intestines. You know, it's just like
Satan's intestines.
you know.
It did kind of look like that. It kind of looked like a diagram of like the large intestinal system.
This is true. You know. But you know, it was still challenging, but it was still fun. You still had to pay attention because you could still potentially kill everybody on the motorcycle. But you know, it was enjoyable.
It was so much fun.
It was beautiful. I was just the hero in my own epic movie of me finally you know, the beginning of the movie was me struggling and failing, and then you know, through. And I do think that a lot of my confidence as a 2-up rider came from like the successes that I had with Emiliano in Africa, or you know, other 2-up riders like the Adventure Hacks, Craig and Michelle, Phil and Sepna. That just built a lot of confidence, and we've done things as part of a team that I don't think we would have done on our own. And so conquering Shafer Pass was definitely a team effort. So thank you, Adventure Hacks. Thank you, Craig and Michelle. Thank you, Dave and M.
Oh,
you know.
yes.
So like, it's just a real good warm feeling of being able to do more complicated things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we've grown so much, but it hasn't always been just us. I mean, we have grown because of these other people kind of pushing our boundaries. And I don't know if we would have grown in the same way if it wasn't for these other couples kind of showing us the ropes. Yeah. And so, yeah, we're very, very thankful for everything that they've taught us and how far we've come. And we were able to enjoy this pass instead of fear it or turn around. That's what happened before. We kind of hit the first switchback and it got sandy, we got wobbly, the edge was right there. And
I was gung-ho and idiotic, and Marisa jumped off and said, "Nope, I'm going to either walk back or we're both turning around."
I don't even know how I got off. I mean, it was like an immediate, like, boom, I'm off the motorcycle, and I was like, we are going back. We were not prepared at all to even have a small little fall. So, and I think emotionally I wasn't prepared for it either.
It was a wise decision back then.
It was a wise decision to turn around, but I just feel very good about us having conquered it this time. And I can also see that growth that we've had over the years together, and that trust that's been built together, and all those hours being on the motorcycle together.
So many hours.
It's really so many hours. It's really strengthened us as a couple as well. And this was kind of like a defining moment for me to be able to do this pass and have a lot of fun with it as well.
Definitely one of the highlights, even though it wasn't one of the most complicated things, but this was an achievement of a goal that we've had for 7 years, and we were with good company and the spirits of all the other people that we've ridden with over the years. And riding with someone we had met in Africa. This was just, you know,
it was like movie
script worthy at the end of like Big Fish, where it's like, oh my God, it was real. You know, it was really, really cool.
It was emotional,
and we were having
incredible.
a blast.
Yes.
And so we high-fived and everyone was happy. And then we got to that why of, you know, going down White Rim or going down Potash.
And we chose to not do White Rim, but we also had a full rest of the day exploring Canyonlands. And that will be in our next episode. So I hope you liked this one. If you did, please give us a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below. Ding, ding. And we hope to be seeing you next time, where we explore Canyonlands and even get to see a waterfall. And Tim drops the bike.
Thanks. Awesome.
So we'll be seeing you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.